Here are some scary school stories from Reddit. Let's jump into it. My mom was a lunch lady when I was in elementary school. I remember being in first grade and hearing the older kids talking about how my mom made food for the school. I was so excited because I couldn't wait to tell my dad. My mom had been working at this restaurant since before I was born. She worked there so much that she never even got to have days off. So I was shocked when one day I heard her yelling at my dad. Turns out she had gotten sick and had to take a day off work, and my dad had gone to check on her to make sure that she was okay. But instead, she started screaming at him, saying he had no right to tell her what to do and that she could quit her job whenever she wanted to. After they finished arguing, my mom didn't go back to work at the restaurant for 2 weeks. I was sad because it meant that I wouldn't get to eat her delicious cooking for lunch. On the second week of her not working, I went to school and sat down to eat my lunch. All of the kids were whispering about how our lunches tasted bad today. The lunch ladies who normally made the food were apparently on strike, so other people had to step in and fill their place. That's when I realized that my mom wasn't just working at a restaurant. She was working at my school. I felt so stupid for not realizing it before. But then I got really excited again, because now I would get to eat her food every day for lunch. Well, when I got home from school that day, my parents were sitting at the kitchen table and they both looked very serious. I asked them what was wrong, and my mom said that she needed to tell me something important. She told me that she wasn't working at a restaurant anymore, and that she was going to try to find a new job. I asked her why, and she said that she wasn't happy with her boss. She told me that sometimes, when employees would complain about things, she would fire them. It turns out that her boss didn't like that she was always yelling at everyone, and that it created a hostile work environment. She said that my mom was toxic and that she had to go. My mom started crying and then left the room. My dad hugged me and told me not to worry because we would be fine. He said that we had savings and that we would be able to live on that for a while. Then he told me to go play outside. For the next few months, my dad and I tried to pretend like everything was okay. We played video games together and watched movies. But I knew that we didn't have enough money to last forever. One day when I came home from school, my dad told me that he had some news. He said that he found my mom a new job and that she would be working at my school. I was so happy because I thought that meant she'd be able to spend more time with me. But when she started working at my school, she only came home on weekends. During the week, she stayed in a little apartment near the school. I didn't understand why she couldn't just come home at night, but I was too young to ask questions. One day when I was eating lunch at school, I heard some kids talking about how the new lunch lady was so mean. Apparently, she yelled at the other lunch ladies and told them that they weren't making the food fast enough. I thought it was weird that the lunch lady was so mean, but I didn't think much of it until one day I saw my mom yelling at someone in the kitchen. I ran over to the window and saw that she was yelling at one of the other lunch ladies. I asked one of my friends what was going on, and he told me that my mom was always yelling at everyone in the kitchen. He said that she was the worst lunch lady ever, and that he hated going to school because he knew that he'd have to eat her awful food. I felt sad because I liked my mom's food, but I also felt scared because she seemed so angry all the time. Then one day, when I came home from school, I saw a big pile of dishes on the table. I asked my dad what happened, and he told me that my mom had quit her job. He said that she had been getting a lot of complaints, and that she was tired of all the yelling. I felt relieved because now my mom would have more time to spend with us. But then I noticed that my dad looked very worried. He told me that he had lost his job and that we might have to move. I was confused because I didn't understand why my dad lost his job. but I was too young to ask questions. My parents started fighting a lot, and I didn't like the sound of their voices. So I would hide under my bed and cry. I remember one day I was hiding under my bed, and I heard my parents arguing. I heard my mom say that she was done taking care of me, and that it was my dad's turn. I was scared because I didn't know what that meant. But then my dad came into my room and scooped me up in a big hug. He told me not to worry, and that everything would be okay. He said that I would always be loved and that nothing would change. Then he carried me downstairs and told my mom that she had to stop acting like this. He said that we were a family and that we should stick together. I felt better after he hugged me because it seemed like my dad was in control. But then, one day, when I came home from school, my dad was gone, and my mom told me that he had moved out. She said that she didn't know where he went and that she hadn't seen him in a while. I asked her where my dad was, and she said that she didn't know. She told me that he must have found another woman to take care of me, and that he probably didn't want me anymore. I cried myself to sleep that night because I missed my dad so much. I didn't understand why he left, but I knew that it wasn't because he didn't love me. When I was in second grade, my mom married one of her co-workers from the restaurant. Her co-worker was a man in his early 30s who had a daughter around my age. My new stepfather, Greg, was nice to me at first, but then he started yelling at me and calling me names. One day when I was playing video games with my stepsister, she told me to hurry up because Greg was waiting to use the computer. I didn't listen to her, and Greg took away my console. I started crying, and my mom came over to see what was going on. Greg told her that I was being lazy and that I needed to clean my room. My mom said that he was right and that I should listen to him. I started crying harder and ran out of the house. I walked around the block until I calmed down, and then I went back home. When I opened the door, I saw Greg sitting on the couch watching TV. I asked him if I could have my console back, and he said no. I asked my mom if I could have my console back, and she said no. I was so mad at them both that I took all of my toys and threw them against the wall. They both started yelling at me and told me that I had ruined my things. I ran out of the house again and stayed out until my dad picked me up. When he brought me home, I told him what had happened, and he gave me a big hug. He told me that he would always be there for me, and that I could always count on him. He promised me that I would get a new game console for Christmas, and then he drove me back to my mom's house. I was so excited to get a new game console that I forgot all about Greg and my mom. I ran inside and told them that my dad promised me a new game console. They both started yelling at me and told me to stop being greedy. I started crying and ran to my room. I stayed in my room until my dad picked me up the next day. When he brought me home, I told him what had happened and he hugged me again. He told me not to worry and that he would handle everything. He called my mom and talked to her for a while. Then he hung up the phone and told me that he was taking me to live with him. I was so happy because now I wouldn't have to see Greg or my mom anymore. I lived with my dad until I graduated from high school. When I turned 18, I moved out and got my own apartment. I still talk to my dad and he tells me how proud he is of me. I don't know where my mom is or what she's doing now, but I hope that she's happy. That was terrifying. And true story number 2. Please stay tuned for more videos like this one. See you next time. Bye.